I know I covered this in my last set of videos, but I really want to reiterate and go over again the symptoms of groupthink because it does happen. It doesn't happen in every group, and we know that, but it does happen in successful groups. And it is, when we think about it, the group members really just become so enamored with themselves. And they see that anything that goes against them is just an unpopular view. It's a deterioration of that individual's mental efficiency, reality even that they have, or their moral judgment, all because of the group pressures. And so again, just the symptoms of groupthink. Group members are going to rationalize away any resistance to the assumptions that they have made, no matter how strong the evidence may be that those assumptions are incorrect. And you saw that with the Challenger explosion. Members apply direct pressure on those that momentarily express any doubts about how the group shared views, or who questioned the validity of their arguments, or supporting any alternative favored by the majority. Because that person is speaking out against the group. And then members who have doubts or have differing points of views may keep silent about their misgivings, even internally minimize the importance of their doubts. And then just that illusion of unanimity. Unless a group member speaks out, his or her silence is taken as concurrence or agreement. So that we know that it does occur when a clear group identity exists. That's optimal conditions for groupthink. And again, not all groups experience groupthink, but it does appear more often when these three things happen. And again, that clear group identity exists, that they're a group, they've been successful, wildly successful. They've always made great decisions. And that the members hold a positive image of their group that they really want to protect. They don't want anyone attacking them. They don't want anyone coming after them, that they feel like anyone that does is against them. And that the group really perceives a collective threat to this positive image. So how do we minimize groupthink? Well, one thing that you need to do is look at it. And again, it's not trying to take down the positive image of a team, but you really want to reduce the chance of groupthink. So limit your group size to 10 or less. And then encourage your group leaders to actively seek input from all members and avoid expressing their own opinions, especially in the early stages of deliberation. I know that happened, if you guys don't remember, but some of you may, the Bay of Pigs, when it happened to Kennedy, and it was such a failure. So then later on, when he put decisions together, he would pull himself out of it and just stay out of the room during early deliberations so people would not feel pressure just to make the decision he was making. And then appoint just one member to act as your devil's advocate. That's the person whose role is to overtly challenge the majority opinion and offer diverse perspectives. And I call that person, they're the one that they're just able to stand up and say, hey, the baby's ugly. You know, everyone likes to think that their decision, that everything that they do is beautiful because it comes from them, kind of like we are with our children. But someone at some point needs to stand up and say, no, the baby's ugly. Maybe we need to move in another direction, but not quite say it like that in the meeting. But it's just the importance of it to make sure that groupthink does not happen. Now, group shift, that is a special case of groupthink. And group shift is a situation which the discussion in a group leads to a significant shift in position of its members toward more extreme positions from those that were initially held by the members before the discussion. And what happens with that is that group discussions tend to exaggerate the initial positions of the group members and the group itself. And you have to be careful with group shift as well. And the risks that can happen, because again, groups just get very familiar with each other and they become more comfortable expressing their opinions. They become more bold, more daring. And so you've got to make sure that group discussions, you have to motivate members that show they're least willing to accept risk. Bring everyone into those discussions and have people take accountability for decisions that they are making. So let's look at some group decision-making techniques. So what you can do to reduce common problems is use brainstorming, and that's a technique where you encourage any and all alternatives while withholding criticism. So you just tell people, hey, throw ideas out there, put that out there. Let's look at anything that you've got. And that's where you're in the discussions where they say nothing's too stupid. So just put your ideas out there. So that's good, and that can reduce common problems with that, and get decisions out there, and really get some interesting type of techniques. Nominal group technique, that's the NGT. This technique restricts discussion or interpersonal communication during the decision-making process. That's why it's referred to as nominal, or meaning in name only. So group members are all physically present, but they operate independently. A problem is presented, and then the following steps take place. Each member independently writes down an idea without discussing it with the group. And then sequentially, each group member presents that. No discussion is allowed until every idea has been recorded. Then group discusses ideas for clarity, evaluates them, and then each group member silently and independently ranks the order of ideas. The ideas with the highest aggregate ranking you use that to make the final decision. And what happens, it really doesn't restrict the independent thinking, and groups that use this technique tend to outperform people that brainstorm. Now, the only problem is it does take a lot of time, and people are not crazy about that sometimes. Electronic meetings is where you use computers to anonymously give honest input. And I've been in situations like that where it's almost like a survey that you take, but sometimes they can lead to decreased effectiveness, slower task completion, and really a lower member satisfaction. So be careful with those. All right, this is all that we're going to discuss this week in all the lectures for week 2. You will have a forum post, and that is below, and to work on that and put it together, and it will be on Groupthink. So I've enjoyed our 2 weeks that we've talked about groups, and next week we will move into teams.